Well, hey everyone! Welcome to episode 356 of F-Stop, Collaborate, and Listen with your host, Matt Payne. This week on the podcast, I'm happy to bring you one of the OGs in the nature photography space, none other than Nikon legend behind the lens, Tony Sweet. Tony has been producing some really fascinating infrared nature photographs lately. It is something that I've been wanting to dabble in for a long time, so I thought it would be really fun to have him as a guest on the show. I hope you enjoy our chat. One thing I'd like to note, about 3/4 through the episode, we do some screen sharing of some of Tony's photographs and talk about them. So to have the best experience with that part of the show, I'd encourage you to head on over to YouTube. We also recorded a really engaging chat for our Patreon supporters that I think you'll want to check out, one of my favorites so far. Before we dive in, I wanted to do a quick shout out to our latest supporters on Patreon, including David Latour and Jay Strajanowski. Sorry, Jay. Patreon is the lifeblood of this podcast, and it is also how I keep food on the table for my family. So thank you all for your generous support. Okay, let's get to this week's episode with Tony Sweet. All right, Tony Sweet, it is awesome to have you on the podcast.
It's my pleasure, man. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say you've been recommended for the podcast probably like 100,000 times, so.
Oh, come on. That's a lot, man.
Yeah, no, I've been really liking your recent IR work that you've been putting out, and I think IR is kind of this, mystery thing that a lot of people are wanting to dabble in, so I was like, man, I should have Tony on to talk about how he does that.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's kind of almost a lifelong passion with me from when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, awesome, man. So for people who aren't familiar with you and your photography, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's TonySweet.com, and I've been doing this for a while. Started late. Started around age 44 after my music career. And I teach workshops. Got a little website. It's up there. And we travel throughout the year, throughout the country, doing workshops and lectures and that kind of thing, And I live with Susan, who pretty much is the brains of the operation. I'm the entertainment, And got a few books out. Got 4 or 5, I think. A couple of CDs, not a whole lot. Not CDs now, but videos now. And going to the Smokies in a couple of weeks for our winter workshop, which is quite fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to the Smokies in April.
Yeah, bring your patience. There's a lot of cars in the in Cades Cove there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've actually never been, so it should be interesting.
I'll give you some tips when you're ready to go. Let me know.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's see here. So you started out as a musician. What did you play?
Played drums. Played jazz. Yeah, did it for 20-some years.
Right on.
Did some touring, little recording. Played with some pretty big names, and it was thrilling.
And you still play?
Of course I play. I play first. That's what I do first. I'm a musician first, photographer second, really. Yeah, I'm trained as a musician. I think I think like one. I shoot like one.
Right on. Well, as you mentioned, you got a very late start in photography. What was kind of the driving force behind you getting into it?
I went on Sue and I took a mountain bike trip to Moab when mountain bikes first started, which was like a long time ago, And I thought it was crazy. Great article in Mountain Bike Magazine. I said, man, we got to go there. We got to go. And went out there, and I mentioned I made some calls and bought a camera from a friend of mine who wanted to be my mentor, and bought a used camera and just take pictures, and came back, and that's how I started. I thought, man, this is great,
So your first photographs,
Tony's place.
Your first photographs were in the desert.
They were. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it's great mountain bike territory, man. It's fantastic. When I came back, my mentor, who wasn't my mentor yet, went into his store and saw these pictures on the wall. I said, man, those are great. They're like nature stuff, smoke and the fog is smoky from Tennessee. Man, this is great. I want to do that, So I started my career as just like buying stuff from him. I needed 70-200, 24C, that standard rack for nature, and just started with that. I said, where do I go? What do I do? And for 18 months, this guy took me under his wing, and I would go shoot in the morning, go play at night, get back around 3 o'clock, go shoot sunrise around 6, back when I could do that, day after day.
Wow.
And took the film, processed it, and took it down to Tony's, and he would just critique it. Put this there, move that over there, you're merging here. It's like every day. I'd go back and correct everything, process again, drive 40 miles to the south if he was available. I'd drive 40 miles to the south if he was there, and I'd get another custom critique. Do this, do that. Do you have this filter? Do you have that filter? Stand here. All this like step-by-step things. But I was very, 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 very lucky to have that kind of coaching that early,
Yeah.
It went on for like 18 months, almost every day. 18 months. So when that was finished, I pretty much had a pretty good foundation,
It feels like those types of opportunities are hard to come by these days.
I was very lucky. Very lucky. I've had 2 or 3 of them, and it's been just the right guy at the right time, which is highly unusual.
And who was it?
Tony Gayhart.
Okay.
Just a regular guy, had a camera store, very good photographer. He's still there. I still talk to him. He's great,
Yeah.
About my age, 39,
That's awesome. 39, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, 39, man.
I just turned 39 too. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. we don't look, I look older than you do. What is that?
I don't know. It must, it's the beard, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
Well, I also understand that you worked with Bill Fortney's Great American Photography Weekend, and I've heard a little bit about that over the years through the people talking about it on the podcast. What was that, and how did it kind of shape your career?
Wow. Okay, Bill Fortney is still around. Still talk to him every so often. Still see him once around Tennessee at his home turf down there in the Smokies, And he had this thing. He would send out postcards. Back in those days, there was no internet. Back it was like a long time ago. Get these like 6x8 cards with all location. Like a Great American Weekend. We're going to these locations. And I got one. I said, man, I've got to go to just to here. I think I'll just go to all these places. So I sent Bill a letter. Hey, Bill, man, I'd love to join you. I sent him some slides that had to suck back then. I said, man, these are pretty good. I sent him a page of slides. And like a month went by too. I said, man, forget it. He's not going to call me, I'm sure. And I get back home. Bill said, hey, man, your stuff looks great. I said, oh, right, I'd love to have you join us, but I can't pay you. I said, I don't care. I said, I don't care. I got a few bucks saved up. Let me just come and be a part of this thing. And I just drove myself around, met up with them wherever they were. Got to teach alongside of like Galen Rao, John Shaw, these like giants back in those days with my generation, And I learned everything. Bill taught me a lot. Got my first break from Bill. Still tell him today, man, you gave me my start, But yeah, and maybe a couple of years doing that, and that was great. That was the first like large, hundreds of people, like in a big room in a hotel, Bill did big productions. Bill's a big thinker, And we go out, and it'd be like, we would go out to be like, locations, like so-and-so and John Shaw will be here, and have these locations pre-established. And then it'll be set up in like 3 or 4 groups, and we would just like change groups each day, And it was great, man. It was new, it was fresh, it was exciting. Got to meet these guys, got to hang out. I mean, Galen, and Shaw, Netherton, I got a list here somewhere, Rod Plank, Larry West.
Yeah, we're
just all of them.
And we're talking, what, like late 80s, early 90s?
That sounds about right. Jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
I left Tennessee to come back home to Maryland in about 89, so about 85, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's too bad Galen Rao's not around anymore, because I feel like I would love to pick that guy's brain.
Man, Galen was great, man. He was great. Just to watch him work with education. No question. You knew when he saw something, and he would like, run to it, get stuff out of the bag as he ran.
Right.
So when he was ready to go. Ready to go. I mean, he had the right filter on, the right everything. Just amazing. Amazing guy.
Yeah.
Sorry he left. Died the way he did, but
yeah.
That's life.
Indeed. So it sounds like mentorship has played a very significant role in kind of your upbringing as a photographer. What do you think specifically people could look for nowadays in order to get a similar experience?
Well, be aware of the opportunities, first of all. What do you look for? I don't know what you look for. It's just something that happens. I mean, Tony was, okay, he was in a place. He wasn't traveling. And so was I. So it wasn't like a meeting on the road. He lived here, I lived here, and we pretty much were in close proximity, And that was the easy part. And then he had a camera store, which is nice, and then we just met and hit it off. And it wound up being a pretty serious mentoring thing almost every day. I drove him nuts, I'm sure, Oh, yeah, man. It just couldn't get enough. But what do you look for? Somebody you have an affinity with, somebody who's like located in one spot, and they're chasing down, and if they have time. It doesn't need to be every day, maybe once a week, But being able to go with somebody who wants to mentor you, maybe once a week, once a month, whatever it takes, just to get constant feedback and constantly improve and fine-tune things as you go. That's the important thing. Just fine-tune as you go. Take a shot, have them look at it, say, man, do this, do that, do that. Go shoot it again the next day while it's fresh in your mind, Go back again. You can't buy that.
Right.
That kind of education, it's very lucky.
How have you kind of paid that forward with people now that you're more established? Are you helping mentor other people as well?
Oh my God, all the time. I got friends from my first workshop that I still talk to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have no problem sharing anything with anybody. I enjoy it. I think that's a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, sharing knowledge and.
Oh
yeah,
absolutely, man. I mean, you can't keep it.
Right.
You gotta share it,
Right. It doesn't go with you after you're gone. You're gone.
You're gone, man. Plus it's fun. It's fun. Just the the camaraderie and the connection and things like that are pretty exciting.
Cool. Well,
and you have friends along the way, and it gets deeper personally, which is also a nice benefit,
Yeah. So at what point did you decide, okay, I want to do this for myself. I want to, start my own photography business?
After Great American, when I left there, and it just grew, it just got too big and kind of fell apart. Nothing forever, And when it folded, I just thought, what a great idea, So I just started talking to camera clubs, locally, and I'm doing a workshop at Smokies next week. Who wants to come? Raise your hand, And I started doing getting more official, getting more serious, getting a price point. I had one of the first websites I think ever, But I was sending out like cards, 6x9 cards with the same thing Bill did, with the locations on it, and just came out of camera clubs and started.
That's awesome. How has that transformed over the years?
Which part?
Just your approach to recruiting people. I mean, sending postcards and whatnot. I mean, that's
kind of ancient history.
Right. I mean, maybe that would still work. I don't know.
No, that's like Roman stuff, man. It's ancient history, But it's the same thing online. I send out like everybody else. We send out the notices and that kind of thing. And you have a much larger audience, and it's much easier,
Yeah, newsletters.
Much more competitive. Yeah.
So how have you built that online following?
It went pretty well until my site got hacked.
Oh.
About a month ago.
Oh, really?
They destroyed it. So they're all gone. So I'm trying to get them all back again.
What platform were you on?
It's a long story, man. Jeez.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, and when it's on my blog or my Facebook thing from a couple of months ago. But basically, I wasn't good with security. Just wasn't. It was not wired tight, And somebody got in and said they were Facebook, and we're going to get rid of this thing unless you. And I should have known at that point that was bull, But I thought maybe they're right,
Oh,
so I gave him a few bucks.
So it was like a phishing
Wasn't
scam?
much money. Give us $100 and we'll get you back online, no problem. No, that's not a lot of money. So sure, let's give it a shot, see what happens. And then later in the day, I contacted him again. And it was like, well, now you have to go into a cryptocurrency. I said, you know what, man, we're done. We're done. So that was the end of that. They went to cryptocurrency and getting their software. I said, no, I'm done.
Oh, man.
And then I called a friend of mine who is a serious IT security guy. He said, man, he went into work mode immediately. I saw his face change. He said, okay, man, here's what you got to do. Get Norton's, get this, get that. Change every password you have to a 20-character random number, which I did. And just, they want your money, basically. That's the bottom line. Yeah. They want your bank account. Yeah. And once I heard that, man, I said, man, just give me an order. I'll just do whatever it is, you know. And we beat them. They couldn't get in, and that was that. And it won't happen again. But my advice is get your stuff wired tight right now and keep it that way.
Yeah. That's funny because if someone asked me, what's your website password, I'd be like, I have no idea. Like it's like
no, I would never give them that. It's a little more, it's a little slicker than that, but not much.
No, I was just saying, like, in terms of password complexity, like, I have no idea what my password is because it's so long.
Oh, I couldn't tell you mine. Yeah, I've got it written down somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, shifting gears a little bit. I mean, that terrifies me. So let's move on to happier news.
Yeah.
I understand you were honored by Nikon as a legend behind the lens. Like, what is that, and what was it like to receive that award?
Oh, it's a dream, actually. It's like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it, you know. And it's a nice honor. They've changed their program since to, what's it called now? It's got another name, but it's 2006, I believe. Just nice. You got some work from them, and just the notoriety is great. And it's also a nice resume thing to have on there.
Right.
But the bottom line, it's just it was like I was kind of in a dream. Like, really? I couldn't believe it, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a great honor. I mean, I'm flattered. I'm still flattered.
So it's like a nomination type thing, or how does that even happen?
They have people that they recommend in-house that they discuss every year, or they used to discuss every year, every quarter, half a year, whatever, something like that. And I was on the list and got in eventually. So I'm still honored by that. I'm still flattered and yeah.
How did that?
It's a great honor.
How did that particular event transform your business? I'm just guessing it. Like
I could charge more money for lectures.
Yeah, right.
Oh, of course, man. Of course, you know. I mean, I didn't go nuts with it, but I kind of gave some credibility. You add a few bucks to it, you know. And it increases your status amongst your peers, you know, and other fellow photographers, you know. Yeah, it just moves you up a notch.
Yeah.
That's the game. Just keep moving up one notch at a time.
Right.
Know?
Or in my case, you just stay level for like, no, I'm just kidding. That's the funny thing about photography is like, I have no idea where I stand. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, when I look at my own work, it's gotten better over the last 6 or 7 years. But like,
oh, I'm sure, yeah.
In terms of where I'm at, I have no idea.
There's a lot of people out there, man, that are exceptionally good.
I know.
I mean, I know it's unbelievable, you know. Back before the internet came in and sort of moved the tectonic plates a bit, changed everything, you know. It was more like an arcane art, more esoteric, you know. As soon as the digital came in, it became like no more teaching on exposure. It's just histogram, do a little thing and you're done there. That took care of that whole thing was like gone at that point. And then the competition got ridiculous immediately because digital was so easy by comparison to film. Film was a dark art almost, you know.
Yep.
You had to like know in your head what was going on.
Right.
And with digital, you know, it's easier, it's different, you know. And but it's still about vision. Bottom line, it's just about vision. Bottom line, you know. And there's a lot of truly great young guys like in their 40s, 50s to me, you know, just like software technicians, geniuses, you know, just a great eye. They travel all the time. They camp out for months at a time. I mean, Mark Adams is a pristine example. You know, Mark's an amazing photographer. Good Lord, man, stays out forever.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
just to get the shots.
It's like 300 days a year.
And you had him on there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you had him on there, I think.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of mutual friends with Mark, and you know, the way people describe him is like, you can't really describe him. He's like totally different type of human brain. I mean, the guy's just like, good luck trying to figure that one out.
Well, I think driven's a good word.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, in terms of like how he sees, you know, like he's
unique.
Yeah.
Rare quality.
Right. Yeah, for sure. All right, Tony, let's talk about infrared. I know it's something you're
okay. I'm good.
I know it's something you're massively passionate about. What kind of got you into it, and why does it appeal to you so much?
Well, I saw my first infrared picture when I was 10 years old in 4th grade, you know, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know enough to look at a magazine to read the credits. I didn't know that back then. It was a picture of palm trees lining the street. The palm trees are all red. I said, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. What is that? You know?
Right. This makes no
I
sense.
still see it in my head. It was like lining, and they were like red. What's the word for that? There's a name for that. The kind of infrared. Achromatic, some kind of chromatic. But you can buy a filter for that now. But aside from that, and that kind of stuck in my head, and then I learned later that it was some kind of infrared. And I wanted to shoot infrared from when I was a kid. And then when it became possible with film, I did film IR, which is very, very difficult by comparison. One of my mentors, Pat O'Hara, shot infrared and hand colored it, which I thought was incredible, you know. And that kind of got me going again. But once I started shooting it in digital, and yeah, I mean, I was just there. It just feels right to me. You know how it is. It just feels right to you, you know.
Right, it just clicks.
It just, it resonated, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a look, it just feels right. It's got a very visceral, organic feel to it, to me, you know. And I love it. I shoot black and white. I'll dabble in color. But there's some great color guys out there, and girls, great. It doesn't move me like black and white does. High contrast black and white IR is kind of the thing for me, you know. And I just kept going.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm doing it whenever I go out. I love it. I love the feel of it, you know.
Is that?
I shoot color also. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But infrared's got a real thing for me.
Would you say you're primarily shooting infrared, or is it kind of a combination?
50-50.
50-50. Okay, that's cool. So it's really got a hold of you.
Pretty much, man. I mean, it's always a surprise, and you can process it in ways to bring out the glow and to really make it personal. And the point is to get a personal look and a personal feel to your work, and that does it for me.
Yeah.
Like, you want a unique look that's kind of yours, you know?
Right. Ideally, yeah.
Ideally, yeah.
What are some good subjects for IR? What are some of the things that you like to focus on?
Well, I'll say for people beginning, shoot everything. Like, you shoot with color, shoot everything. And then you'll see the limitations right away. And you'll realize what can work, what doesn't work. The best quality of light for IR, no question, and the easiest is just like with color. Low side light, low front light. It just glows, just lights up, no problem. I find that I love shooting in fog, infrared. It's got a real great quality to it, and in the rain. Because when subjects are wet with infrared, because high contrast, like very high contrast, dark gets darker, and the whites get like snow, like a bride and a groom. Dark black, whites. They just get the great contrast in the rain. It's also fog. Fog is rain, you know, the same. Just if it's wet outside. Before rain, after a rain, during a rain, fog. Those are all like great conditions for IR. Just tremendous. Very lyrical, very beautiful.
It's funny because I've been around some people that like to use IR, and a lot of times they break the IR out when it's like, you know, blue skies, everything's bright, and it sounds to me like maybe that's not exactly the best way to approach IR. I'm curious, kind of, what are your favorite times to use IR?
I'm not sure about best. I mean, that's one time that I use it for sure, absolutely. But the light can't be too hot. If you're in Cuba and it's like 98 degrees and like humid, forget it, you know. But there's got to be some atmosphere going on. You know what I mean? At least for me, it does. But fine. I mean, that's what I thought it was for years, and it still is good. It's a viable way to shoot it, no problem. Blue sky, big puffy clouds. I do that in Tennessee. You'll see that in April. Be perfect down there for that. But you know, the more emotional, more personal work for me is shot in those conditions. Low light, marginal times a day, light rain, not heavy rain, because things get soaked. But yeah, fog. You'll be on a road called Sparks Lane in Tennessee, and the road goes straight and the sun's perpendicular. It's like this. That's the sun hitting the trees, right? And with IR, it's amazing what it does. That kind of low angle side lighting, it's unbelievable. So things like that I look for.
Right.
Things that glow.
When you say it's unbelievable, like, how is it different than color?
It glows. It glows, man. It just lights up like the 4th of July. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Black and white 4th of July. Sorry.
Right. Got it. Monochromatic celebration.
Monochromatic 4th of July, yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that's a good segue to talk about the different types of infrared conversions. How do you make a decision about what type of conversion to make, and what are the different types that you've tried out?
Well, if you look on the, there's two websites. There's many more companies that do that than two. There's many, and they're all very good. The two of the greatest websites, in my opinion, are Kalari Vision. They're in New Jersey, and Life Pixels in Mukilteo, Washington. And they have their website is like chock full of information. I can give you numbers. The 460 is achromatic, and then 560, 590, 665, 720, 850, etc. They're just numbers. They're nanometer settings. But they've got examples printed on their website. This is 720, this is 560, this is 665, whatever. It'll show you examples, And the lower the number is, starting at 560, to around 665, you can actually introduce a false color. But the higher the number is, the more pure black and white it is. So it's more of contrast. You can add it in software, but it comes out naturally, which I prefer. Naturally in the more high numbers. But you can add color with the lower numbers. But you lose the natural contrast. There's always trade-offs, I had 590 for a while, but I couldn't get what I wanted with the contrast. It just didn't come out. I had to keep juicing it up. I kind of hate doing that. So 720 kind of had that hard, beautiful contrast, natural, And go to those websites, read them, and look at their examples. And make a decision.
So for you, the 720 is kind of what you like?
Yeah. 665 is pretty nice. 720 and 665 are good for me.
And there's higher ones too, right?
You can go to 1,000. But I would say just for practical purposes, say 565 to 720, 850 if you want a really high contrast, which can kind of blow out in really bright light. Be careful when you shoot that. But right in that span, 560 to 850, that's where you'll be. If you want to shoot color, you'd be around 590. Or if you want to add color, probably around 590. If you want to shoot pure black and white, 720. Those are the two main ones, I think, in my opinion,
And then what about full spectrum and using filters?
I was going to say that. I'm sorry. The full spectrum cameras are pretty much just a box, neutral. And then whatever filter you put on that camera will become that nanometer. So put a 560 on, you're shooting 560. Take it off, put a 720 on, you have 720. So it's kind of great that way. And that works for digital especially well, because you can see it when you shoot it on back of the camera, where you couldn't with the older days, I guess.
Right.
But my basic setup, just real quick, I've got two cameras. I've got a color and a full spectrum. Now, the good thing about full spectrum is that that's also a backup color camera. They make a filter now. That you put that camera back, you have to adjust your white balance, of course. You put the filter on your color camera, and just the white balance, and it becomes a color camera. So you have a backup camera, and an IR both in the same camera body. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, you have a full spectrum. You can put a filter on it, and it takes it back as if it was a normal camera.
Yes, if you need to. It's called a cut filter.
So that's what.
But in general,
so that's your setup then. You have a full spectrum, and then you slap on different filters.
Yes, and a color camera, which is my main color tool. But full spectrum with 3 or 4 filters, not a lot.
Gotcha. And can you stack other filters on there, like neutral density or?
Neutral density is fine. Yeah, neutral density. I use NDs a lot. Not a polarizer. It's got no effect at all. Almost. Polarizer's worthless with that. Any kind of soft filter, diffusion filter will work.
Yeah. And why did you decide to go full spectrum instead of just 720?
I wanted the option to change my nanometer, change the filters.
Just versatility.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you're using the full spectrum, and you've got a 720 filter on there, it's capturing in black and white?
Yes, high contrast black and white, period. That's it.
And then what's kind of your approach to processing those images?
With the black and white images. So once you take it into a color program, if you have any trees, they'll turn white. You'll see that. and then you process it as just a black and white image. And bearing in mind that the inherent qualities of infrared that are specific to infrared is that infrared will see more detail in the highlights, and it will add automatic glow to your highlights automatically, which is nice. It just glows. Those are infrared properties exclusively. No filter, no tricks. That's what it does for you.
And then,
so it's, aside from that, the straight black and white processing, you can do selections. Like I tend to want black blacks and white whites, so I'll push the whites and blacks back and forth to get what I want as far as that goes. But that's it.
And are you primarily using Lightroom? Or are you using Photoshop?
No, Lightroom, Photoshop. Basically, I use Luminar Neo. There's a really nice tool in there called Mystique or Mystical. It's in the creative panel. If you want to add glow, a little more glow, which I do quite often, not a lot, but a little bit more, it gives you the glow without increasing contrast that much, unlike Glamour Glow, which does add a lot of contrast when you do that. But Mystical, I think it's called Mystical, does not. It's much more subtle glow, which I like a whole lot.
Gotcha. So no silver effects? You ever use that?
Occasionally. Yeah, I'm not married to it, but yeah, if I'm doing straight black and white, sure.
Yeah.
But for infrared, not a whole lot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen so many weird processing techniques for black and white, like using levels and all just all kind of really interesting things. But it sounds like you keep it pretty simple with blacks and whites and just basic edits, and then a couple Luminar things.
If you get a good capture, you're pretty much there. Just all fine points and bringing the subject out. That's pretty much what it is to me.
Right. Nice. That's good. All right. Well, let's talk about hotspots, because this is something I feel like it's kind of a mystery. What are hotspots in infrared, and how do you avoid them?
Okay, hotspots are a spot in the center of your lens. Dead center. If it's off to the side half an inch, it's not a hotspot, it's something else. Dead center. And that's a low contrast circle. It's affected if you get it, it's a function of the aperture. The more you're stopped down, the harder that circle is. The more you're opened up, the more it goes away. But you have the itinerant issues. The more you open up, the less sharpness you have throughout. So you have there's always a trade-off, man. Always a trade-off.
Always. That's photography 101, right?
You got that right, man. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's not a function of anything as far as quality of lens, as far as type of lenses go. You can get hotspots on a fixed focal length, telephoto, zoom lens, wide angle, super long, super short. Doesn't matter. Cheap lens, expensive lens, doesn't matter. It just happens when it happens, And there are lens databases on LifePixel and the KalariVision.com. They're both other websites. And there's a lens database. Just read right through it, When I first started, when I learned about that, I was shooting my my workhorse lens, the 24-70 Nikon had, the original one,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good to go, man. Click. Big spot. I said, oh, no, don't do that to me. I must have that range, So I went, like a one-up one, to the 24-120, which is no hotspot.
Interesting.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Gotcha.
And 99%. You get some weird angle, some weird light thing. You might see it if you stop down. But in general, for the most part, there's none.
So it's just a matter of getting a body, seeing if your lenses are on that database.
That's it.
And then does it matter what camera you have converted, or kind of what are your thoughts on that?
There's probably a limit. I've yet to see one. Nikon has the most bodies and lenses. Canon's got the least. You just need one.
Right.
That's all in the database. That's all there. But as far as camera bodies go, that's up to them. You can convert almost anything.
Okay. What camera modes do you like to use when you're using IR? Because I'm a manual guy. It's just everything is manual for me. But what do you use and why?
If you're all sitting down out there. Now I use program mode. It's program mode. I mean, all that I want, it gives you a good histogram at the computer. That's all that I want. I'm not doing shallow depth of field, And modern cameras are like, not like the old days. They just like throw it in for something to throw in there. It's a functional mode, When we shoot in Cuba and I'm doing like a grab shots in town, that's all program mode, man. There's no time.
So P for professional.
That can be. It can be, sure. I mean, the modern cameras are serious computers, man. They're not garbage anymore,
Sure. And are you doing that for IR and color or just IR?
IR mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do more depth of field and stuff like that with the color camera. I'm doing like city scenes and things like that. But as far as like being IR specific, it's program mode. And
why not do something like manual with auto ISO?
I hate auto ISO. I want to set that the way I want it and leave it. It always makes things too warm in color.
So you don't. So it's fascinating because I personally am like, I have to control my shutter speed. I have to control my aperture. So I guess you're not photographing a lot of subjects that have movement.
Not a lot, no.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because like if there's wind or something, like I don't know, I feel like program would mess that up.
Oh no, I wouldn't use it for that. I definitely meter long exposures because you have to.
Right.
But for general shooting, the infrared program's fine.
Gotcha. Well, you've heard it here. Use program for IR.
Try it. Might like it. They're computers, man. They know more than I do. They give you good histogram.
Right.
That's all I want.
What are some other aspects of photographing in IR that you appreciate that keeps you coming back?
Well, so, I like how it feels to me, and it looks unique. And you can doctor it up, you can make selections, make things darker, brighter, and really process it to look like something more personal. There's a lot of flexibility. You have some examples I sent to you, but that's all in there. But in general, you can make it very personal. You can make things darker, lighter, and really process it rather than just letting it go,
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of that just to fine tune, make kind of the road darker, or maybe make the sky a bit, brush in some dark sky and that kind of thing, But that's the bottom line is that the final shot, the final image, is what I'm going for, and it's very exciting when it works. It's very satisfying, very gratifying. When it comes, it's got a real feel to it. It's got this. I mean, even shooting subjects that are not IR specific, like say South Dakota Badlands. There's no green most of the time in there. It's just like siltstone, But there's a glow to it that you do not get in color. Again, those are like highlights, and they glow.
Do you find?
And I like that.
Do you find subjects with certain colors respond more favorably to IR than others?
Well, mostly green. Greens turn white. Reds turn dark. Shallow water is lighter. Deep water is darker. Things like that are inherent. Wet subjects, again, get darker and lighter. Go both directions. But that's why I say when you start doing this, just shoot everything as you shoot color. And look at what you have, and then evaluate your own, to your own satisfaction. Because colors are all different. They come out a little bit lighter, a little bit darker, in infrared. I find the blues get really dark, which you try to use.
Yeah, for sure.
If I see something like that, But yeah.
And you said so greens get bright and blues get dark. So I feel like I'd be totally searching for blues and greens together.
Well, yeah, greens can get white. But then again, so are clouds. The mistake I made years ago, man, it's like, I saw like this great tree line, puffy clouds. And I think, this is great. At the IR cameraman, click. Where'd the trees go, right?
They're in there.
Where did they go? It's white on white. It's like, what happened, So don't shoot white against white, unless there's a tonal difference.
Right.
Say there's some light rays coming in and just spotlighting the trees, if you're good there. Or say the sky goes dull for half a second. Then you can shoot, because there's a difference between the shades of white. But a bright sunny day and green trees, man, you're cooked.
What does it do with...
Where'd everything go?
What does it do with like fall foliage, like yellow aspen leaves or things like that?
It's black and white. The reds get darker.
Yeah. What about yellows?
Pretty much white.
White. Interesting.
I shoot fall in infrared because the trees are all full.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of my favorite subjects in fall is like blue sky, yellow aspen leaves. It sounds like that would work really well together.
Could. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
How does it respond at all to to like things like flash or external light? Have you tried that at all?
No. It doesn't even sound right.
Yeah. You're like, that just don't even go there.
That doesn't even sound right, man.
Well, it's funny. 'Cause I'm just trying to think, like, what are some of the possibilities that IR opens up that people maybe haven't thought of yet?
Well, shooting in adverse conditions, number one. I mean, when I'm out there and it's raining with an umbrella, I'm alone, And when you go out in the morning, say dawn, when there's no direct sunlight at all, my favorite lesson when we teach in the field, hills look black. They're like black. It's like pre-dawn, they're black. But the sky's bright. As soon as the sky brightens up, you can shoot. Even though it looks dark to us, it's white in infrared because the colored sky is lighting up, unbeknownst to us, the hillside. So you can't shoot when it's dark if there's a bright sky. I'll turn my back to the hills and shoot just where the lights, where it is, and what it's hitting. So it's kind of a neat little trick. You just keep shooting until it starts getting light, and you'll see black. It's coming out, and it'll be like white. And it'll still be like almost black when you look at it.
Interesting. I mean, it almost like...
You'll see it on, get up to Foothills Parkway in the Smokies. Shoot sunrise up there. It's perfect for that. The sun will be spring. The sun's behind you, off to the left. Off to the left a little bit, and the trees are in the shade. When the sky gets bright, you'll see in your camera, not with the eye. You'll see them get white, like a sheet. Just beautiful.
Which is wild because that completely flips the script for dynamic range almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Like, you almost have to, like, there's a window there where it's ideal. It sounds like
there's a window where it's just perfect, and then it gets brighter, then it gets to normal infrared. But you have to get that with everything. That little window of like beauty, and doesn't last that long. Great light is fleeting.
Right. Well, that's photography 101 as well.
That's right. A lot of good light out there, but the great light is fleeting. Yeah. You got to see the difference in what it does and what it doesn't do, and what it excels at. Long exposures on water are great because the water glows. It has this like cotton candy, like glowing effect to it, But yeah, you just got to go do it. You got to look at a lot of work. You'll see a lot of bad work online. Like, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Look at it and learn from it.
Where do you go to see? Examples of IR work?
Oh, let's go online. Look around. Michael Kenna, a lot of people. Jeez, wish I had some more names. Cole Thompson, black and white, but still people like Cole.
For sure.
The only difference is just the cloud detail and the water detail, the detail and the highlights and the glow. But it's pretty much the same as black and white except for those two features, And it's not quite as profound. It's not quite as dark, and like black and white's got a look. And infrared is a little more gentle with the way it feels. It's a different feel altogether.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else as far as infrared goes. You have my notes there.
Yeah. No,
look at a lot of work.
Just didn't want to miss anything.
You didn't miss anything, man. Can you pull any pictures up to talk about, or?
Oh, yeah, we could do that if you want to give me a second.
You'll see this tree in Cades Cove. I love this tree. This is a typical Cades Cove morning in the Smokies. This won't be in this fall when you're there. This is like late May. Spring's getting later in the mountains. But that's what makes this work is the fog. Again, foggy scene. And the fog separates the tree from the background, so it pushes the tree forward,
Right.
And all the leaves are in, which is nice when that tree is full. And again, the fog, swirling fog, it's kind of moving, creates a separation. But it's just first light, very first light.
What color? Are those green leaves?
Oh yeah,
green. Okay.
That's barely direct sunlight.
Yeah.
Barely, just like at the horizon.
Yeah.
But again, There's a lot more light than you would think. There's no direct sunlight yet.
Right.
It's just the sky's bright. It's just starting to come in.
Gotcha. Okay. How about this one?
We'll drive past that. Yeah, this is that's how the water glows in infrared. There's a glow to it. And I just that's in Smokies also on a Tremont. You'll be in the traffic jam in Tremont when you go there, I'm sure.
I love traffic jams.
Yeah. Get there early, man. Get there when they open. Get there early. It's the only way.
And what would you say your shutter speed was on this with this one?
Oh, seconds, maybe a couple seconds,
Okay.
4 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that.
Gotcha.
And then I did a radial around the water and darkened the outside.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
To create the contrast there. But yeah, that's classic water scene. Just glows all by itself.
I recognize this.
That's in Iceland.
Yep, I've been there.
I love this spot. My favorite sea stack is these four here.
Yes.
But again, same thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's such a cool scene. I've been there once before myself.
Yeah, I love this spot. Same basic idea. The sun at that time of year is to my right, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just hitting everything, hitting the mountainside back there. The water's all side lit. Clouds are moving. It's about a 1 second, maybe 2 second. The ocean's very smooth. Probably a 1 to 2 second exposure.
Are you
and just got
using filters
good
for
separation? No, I'm sorry?
Using a filter for that?
Maybe a 5-stop.
Right.
Because it is kind of bright.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one's very interesting.
All that white stuff is green. That's why it's so great in Iceland for infrared.
Yeah.
One of the only turf churches. It's a turf church in Iceland. You don't see a lot of that.
No. I don't think I remember seeing anything like that.
Place of worship. Yeah, place of worship. That's right. This has an illusion, sort of. That tree from the right side is joined with the mountain edge. There's no hook in the branches there. It's just there's two things. On the right side, the mountain is going out of the picture, and the limb's going straight out. So there's nothing joined, but it's an optical illusion. Like your eye connects those two things.
Right.
But there's no connection.
And the tree branch creates a frame for the church.
Oh yeah.
Which is...
Oh yeah, and also it's raining.
Oh, okay.
That's why the whites just glow how bright they are. They're white, like a bride.
Yeah, you weren't joking.
They light right up, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's a good one. Up in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, actually, where they have I call these cloud borealises. They look like the lights, but they're not. They're clouds, same basic shape. And again, the sun might be 12 noon. Everything's evenly lit, no real shadows. Again, that's a midday. That's a midday shot.
Right.
Clouds overhead almost.
We like to call those wispy clouds.
Oh yeah, these are great. Great when that happens.
Yeah.
But it matches the scene. That one little hole filled in with that one little cloud aberration right there.
No, that's
fills
awesome.
That in. But again, midday. This is you get a lot more glow when you shoot into the sun. You know, so I'm shooting into the sun directly. I'm shooting right into it. The reason there's no flare or anything washed out is because I'm using a diffusion disc, 32-inch. I'm holding it way out in front of the lens, like way out in front. So I'm creating a baffle between the the fireball and the lens, which allows me to shoot right into the sun and not get any kind of lens flare. That's why the clouds glow so much.
Tell me more about a diffusion disc, because I usually just use like a hat. I would love to hear more about that.
You cannot reach that far with your arms.
Right.
So you need to get way out in front of that. Plus the sun, unless you're like way out in front of the lens, way out in front of it, you're going to get the light in there. So I want to get the whole front element like blocked in the shade.
So do you have like is it attached to like a stick or something?
Well, yeah, it's the Elastilite. They have the triangular shapes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with that hard handle, which you need so it doesn't flex.
Yeah, right.
Stiff. And just hold that out there and make sure your front element's covered and shoot. I love shooting into the sun like that. That's where most of the glow is. It just lights up. Look at the clouds.
Right. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay. Ooh, look at that one.
That's got a soft focus filter on it in addition to the basic soft look of infrared. Yeah, so I dropped on a soft filter because it is bright. The brightness will accentuate the glow even more. And again, very, very lyrical, the fog rolling through the hills, and just dark valley. Good separation with the dark valley and the bright hillsides. And it's got a nice dynamic range. Very soft background, the furthest most back clouds.
How
have a nice feel to them,
when you're shooting?
Nothing's blown out.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you're shooting IR scenes like this, how careful do you need to be in terms of not blowing out your highlights?
Histogram.
So it's the same.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Another flowing water scene.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots in this is in Greenbriar Gorge. You'll be there also. It's called the Moon Rocks. Yeah, it's just tremendous. You get the water flow, and there's the water's very bright, like glowing. That's what infrared does. And got a good foreground, foreground, middle ground, background, same old stuff. Little pothole in the foreground, then your eye goes back past the water to the distant shoreline over there.
Yeah.
That's about maybe a 30-second exposure, something like that.
I was going to say, I typically am not a huge fan of those super long water exposures, but it works really well with IR for some reason.
It's exposure, sure. Just exposed for it, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it's just that glowing quality that makes it work.
But you do need some sort of interference. If it's just like flowing water with nothing, it's just a big white hole.
Right.
You need some interference to break it up,
Right, the rocks. I love the comp here, and the light is just fantastic with the big spire and the tree. It just, to me, it's like so well balanced.
That's a morning shot. That's with the sun behind your back. Everything's front lit.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the good conditions. Get there in the morning, at 9, 10 o'clock. It's right behind you.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh, that's nice too.
There it is, fog, like rolling fog, different trees, deciduous, non-deciduous. That's Grandfather Mountain, North Carolina. It's a beautiful, great place to shoot, Fog rolls in most mornings in the spring, early fall. And you just set up and wait, man. It's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
As the sun rolls over the hill, it lights up all that fog in the valley.
Well,
lucky to be there.
That's a good clinic you just put on right there, just to showcase what IR is capable of in the hands of a talented photographer.
I'm just a student, man. But that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Who do you recommend for the podcast? Who are a couple of people that we should learn more about?
Well, I mentioned Ellen Annan, who remarkable photographer. She's a SanDisk mentor, or like whatever their people are. She's one of those, and very artistic eye, extremely artistic eye. Never misses. Just amazing talent, And you should talk to her. She's very bright, very talented. Written a few books, And my buddy Joey Rosbach. Kurt Budlick was a good friend. They taught together, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Joe's probably mid-late 40s now. He's just another, just an amazing crystal clear vision, rock solid composition,
But also
tremendous marketing skills.
He's hilarious.
Joey's very funny, man. Yeah, he's funny. Good storyteller.
Yeah, really good storyteller.
He's my man. Joey's all right. I haven't seen him for a while, but he's all right.
Right on. Well, Tony, this has been a lot of fun, and I just want to thank you for showcasing what IR is capable of.
Well, thank you, Matt. I got a little website, tonysweet.com. My life's on there. If you have any questions or any listeners, just drop me a line.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll put a link.
Just Tony at tonysweet.com and drop me a line, and we'll talk about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you to Tony for the great chat on the show today. I really loved taking a look at your images while we talked, and I hope that listeners can take the time to check out our image share over on the YouTube version of the podcast. Tony is very happy to help anyone looking for mentorship, so if you want to take him up on the offer, just drop him a note. Cheers. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for stopping in, collaborating with us, and listening. See you next week.